Hello, everyone. Welcome to Avalanche Live, our weekly demo series. We're excited to have everyone join us to learn a little bit about Avalanche and to see it in action. My name is Pradeep Banat. I'm the Director of Product Marketing here at Actian for Analytics. Today, I'm joined by Mary Schulte, who's a Senior Systems Engineer. Mary will be showing you Avalanche after I give you a short overview. And on this slide, you can basically see that we have a limited time offer of a 50% guaranteed savings on your current Snowflake bill. So if you are already a Snowflake customer or planning on becoming one, we're very confident that we can give you significant savings over what you might be spending with that other alternative. So a little bit about the history of cloud data warehousing. About 10 years ago, everyone was buying data warehouses on premises. They were provided by vendors such as Teradata, who did the first real database appliance. And then Netezza came along, which is now part of IBM. And Oracle have their own engineered system also. It's called Exadata. And over time, people decided they wanted more flexibility to expand without having to buy more hardware. So cloud data warehouses were born. And Redshift was one of the first generation examples of that. And they basically put a data warehousing appliance in the cloud. A better managed solution came along in the second generation of cloud data warehouses. An example of that is Snowflake. With Snowflake, it's easy to turn the service on and off, easier than Redshift. And it actually separates compute from storage, so it's easier to scale it independently. So that gives you an elastic cloud capability. With Avalanche, we give you the benefits of both those solutions and more. Basically, you're not locked into a cloud. You can run the same database service both on premises and in the cloud. It runs on all the popular clouds, AWS, Azure, and GCP. And we basically give you the capability of making those appear as one instance. I'll talk a little bit more about that on a later slide. So Actian Avalanche is a hybrid cloud data warehouse. It's a fully managed service. It's ACID compliant. It's an MPP data warehouse, so it scales very linearly across multiple machines. It offers the industry-leading price performance, and I'll have a slide on that soon. It's truly hybrid, on-prem, multi-cloud, and available as a VPC. It gives you the cloud economics, so you only have to pay for what you use, and you don't have to size for your peak load. You can basically expand and grow the compute to match your usage patterns. It also offers separation of storage and compute, so you can scale your compute and your storage independently of each other. One of the key differentiators for Avalanche is that it offers data connections built in. So Avalanche Connect gives you pre-configured connectors for more than 200 popular applications. And any we don't have existing connectors for, there's a universal connector that's really easy to configure in a WYSIWYG way. We offer automated migration from most legacy data warehouse solutions such as Teradata and Netezza. Even some of the cloud data warehouses can be automatically migrated to Avalanche. So Avalanche gives you the highest performance at scale. It runs everywhere. It's managed. It's very automatically managed. You don't have to know down to how many nodes you're running. You just basically express the amount of power you need in Avalanche units. And just at the bottom of this slide, you can see some of our customers. My favorite customer is Refinitiv, who are interesting because they have a very well-defined service level agreement for their database provider. And they wanted us to provide sub 0.2 second response times to their most complex queries in their application called Electron and Icon, which provides stock trading information on the internet for their subscribers. and only Actian was able to meet that SLA. So as I mentioned, we run on premises and in public or private clouds with VPC. And this slide is really all about introducing the hybrid federated query capability. So a single SQL query statement can span multiple instances of the Avalanche database, wherever they may be, and make them appear as one database. So it's done in an intelligent way. So any predicates or where clauses, etc., are pushed down into the distributed servers. So you only get the subset that's relevant to your request returned to you over the network to make it as fast as possible. I mentioned Avalanche offers superior price performance. In this example, we had a workload of 20 concurrent users, and in this case, Actian was able to achieve a price performance saving of 3.2 times compared to Redshift, and better than 9 times against Snowflake. That's just an example of how we achieve the price promise. This is very important to note. As you add more concurrency and your workload grows, both Redshift and Snowflake cost increases almost exponentially. Compare that to the blue curve at the bottom, and you see that's rising much less steeply. So our promise is that as your workload grows, the value that Avalanche delivers is actually greater over time. And one of the very important things about the Cloud Data Warehouse is you don't need an army of DBAs to tune it. Avalanche is very fast just out of the box. It was designed for performance from the outset, so it just runs fast without any tuning. It doesn't require materialized views, no special indexing, no preloaded results such as cubes are needed. It just runs really fast. Okay, so it's time for the demo, which is the main purpose of this webinar, and I'll hand over to Mary for that.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mary Schulte. As Pradeep mentioned, I'm out of Dallas, Texas, and I'm here to give you a live Avalanche demo. In fact, I'm going to show you 3 different demos. I am going to show you the Avalanche Administrative Console. But then the first live demo I'm going to show you is a performance demo where I'm going to show you a head-to-head competition of the TPCH scale factor 100 benchmark with Avalanche versus popular cloud data warehouses. So I'm going to show you that. And then I'm also going to show you a more traditional dashboard type of demo using Looker. I'm going to show you a retail demo that includes a market basket analysis and a concurrent data load simulation. And just to show you, before I show you this demo, I'd like to describe a little bit what it's going to look like so you'll know what you're seeing. Basically, in both of these demos, I have a Looker dashboard that is pointing to Avalanche plus other data sources, and I'm performing the same SQL against those different data sources. In the case of the market basket demo, I am going to be running a simultaneous data load on those targets, and so you're going to see that Avalanche is able to ingest the data much faster, and thus changes in the business are reflected on the dashboard in a more timely fashion, meaning that your business users are going to be much more effective at their jobs. So the market basket analysis demo, this is what it's going to look like. The middle part are the dashboards pointing to Avalanche, whereas the ones down below are pointing to the competition, which in this case is going to be Azure Synapse, formerly Azure SQL Data Warehouse. So what's going to happen is I'm going to run some simultaneous queries, and I got my query speedometers up here that show you that. I'm going to count how many queries are being served, and then, as I mentioned, I'm going to simultaneously load some data, and so I'm going to give you information about that here and here. And so I'm going to artificially load large amounts of product in the drink sector, and you're going to see how that's reflected much quicker on the Avalanche, Actian Avalanche powered dashboard. Okay, so I'll skip through this and we'll move on to the demo. Okay, so here is the Avalanche dashboard. When you first log into Avalanche, you will see all of the warehouses that you have available. I don't think Pradeep mentioned it, but we do support warehouses on the different clouds. So you can have an Amazon Avalanche, an Azure Avalanche, and we will very soon be supporting Google Cloud for Avalanche as well. So you can come in here and you can see all the warehouses that I have, and I can click on one of these and I can get my basic information about the warehouse, where it's located, how big is it. We have a concept called an Avalanche unit, which basically specifies a unit of compute power and associated pricing. So this one here has 8 AUs. And one of the things that's great about Avalanche is that we do have that separation of compute and storage that allows elastic scaling of the warehouse. So for example, at the end of the month, you might have a lot of business processing. So you might decide that instead of just having 8 U's running your warehouse, you might need 32. So you can actually move this slider over here and scale it up to 32 for the end of the month. And then once you're finished with your excess processing, then you can scale it back down to 8. And so that's reflected in how much the service costs. And so it makes your costs much more effective. And what happens behind the scenes is because of the separation of compute and storage, we basically just logically reassign disk storage to the different compute nodes, and that's how we do the elastic scaling. You do not have to reshard the data under the covers like you have to do with some of the other popular cloud vendors. So we have elastic scaling. We do have lots of security features, which I won't talk about in this presentation, but on the outset here, we do have a whitelisting for IP addresses where you can control the different IP addresses or ranges that can access the warehouse. We also have a concept of an idle stop, so you can specify the amount of time that you want the cluster to spin down. So if the cluster is not busy, we'll spin down the compute resources, and that of course will save on the cost as well. So we do have that feature. We also integrate with external table resources. So in Amazon, for example, you might want to ingest data from S3 buckets, or on Azure might be from ADLS storage. So you can set system-wide, you can set your secret keys and all that kind of stuff, plus the password. So, you know, basic information here. One of my favorite tabs is this connection tab, because when you have a database, you want to use tools with it, and sometimes it's not very clear how to connect to your warehouse, but we've made it extremely clear here. We've got categories for the different types of connectivity. So for example, maybe you want to use Looker, which is what I'm going to do here. We give you all the exact parameters that you need to connect to these tools. Plus we have an easy button here for you to download any associated software that you need to make that connection. We also have a query editor here. So you can do some queries against the warehouse. So you can, you know, just type in queries if you want. It has autocomplete in here. You can run that, get your results back. It's very fast, as you can see. You can also have pre-recorded or pre-saved queries. For example, this one here is more complex, and we also have the ability to do some basic graphing of the data here in the query editor, in addition to being able to download the result set to CSV, Excel files, or JSON files as well. So that's the basic warehouse infrastructure. We do have the ability, let me show you how to create a warehouse. It's actually quite simple. You just go in here to create warehouse, you give it a name. You choose which cloud you want to put it in, which region. We do support many different regions around the world. So you might want to put it in London, for example. How many Avalanche units you want. We have, and then also you can start your initial IP whitelisting here, and then the idle stop. So basically you just do these things and say create warehouse, and we'll go and do all the work behind the scenes to procure the massively parallel database and warehouse for you. So it's very simple. One other aspect of the this, just very quickly before I get to the live demo, is that we do have this integration tab, and one of the differentiators of Actian Avalanche is that we do have the Actian Connect facility in there. So our company has a rich heritage of data integration, and so we've merged that technology into Avalanche. So it's not just the warehouse, it also has integration. The product comes with a variety of templates. You can make your own templates. We have templates for different, over 200 sources, templates for NetSuite, for eBay, flat files, all sorts of templates. So you can come in here and choose a template, and or even make your own templates. And then what you do is you can configure a integration job, and so those might use one of the templates. So for example here, here's an eBay template, for example. We can come in here and we can actually, it uses a base template, but we can come in here using these macros and actually change different values. So if you want to use that template to load into a different Avalanche warehouse, for example, you could just come in here and modify that. So once you have your jobs configured, you can actually just go ahead and run them from here. And then we also have a integration manager, which actually facilitates the scheduling and running of these integration jobs. You can come in here and see if your jobs are queued, canceled, or maybe you had a problem with your job. You can go and examine the log file there. So the integration tab is actually quite useful, and we make it easy to get your data into Avalanche. Okay, so on to the real demo, the real live demo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the performance demo for you first, because it takes a little while to run. And then while it's running, we'll go and check the market basket demo. But let me start my, so what you're going to see here, here's a Looker dashboard, and I'm pointing to Avalanche. I have a very popular cloud warehouse in the middle that I'm legally not allowed to say the name of. And then, of course, we have Redshift on the far right. And what you're going to see here is in this case, I'm doing the TPCH 100 gigabyte test. I'm running 10 users. And in the TPCH benchmark, there's 22 queries, and I'm actually going to loop through those twice. So that's 44 queries times 10 users. So ultimately, I'm going to do 440 queries. And what you're seeing here is, the amount of time it takes to do this. And what's interesting over here is the detail. This is the average execution time for query 1, query 2, query 3, et cetera, et cetera. And you can see that Avalanche has already answered many more queries than the other guys. They just haven't even gotten to all the queries yet, and we're almost through the first round. So, and you can just see the execution time. And I've also in the middle here, I've got these on pretty equivalent compute power. So as you can see this roll along, you'll see the cost differential here. And we're going to come back and check on this in a minute because it does take a little while to run. The next demo, while that's running, I'm going to show you this market basket demo, which is Avalanche versus Synapse. So here's this, and the tile on the far right is actually, this right over here is what you need to watch, because this is actually a market basket query. It's a very difficult query in retail and in networking. It involves a self-join of the fact table back to itself, and you can see here that Avalanche was very quick at doing a self-join between 52 million rows there. And we've already served up many more queries than Synapse, and Synapse is still working on this market basket query. So the other thing to notice here is that I'm simultaneously loading data into the database, as I mentioned, in the drink sector. So, and that's already been reflected here in the Avalanche powered dashboard. So the user, anyone using an Avalanche powered dashboard is going to see results faster and see what's really happening in their business faster than somebody that's waiting on stuff in the other guys. So we can see how this is coming along. Synapse here, formerly SQL Data Warehouse. Oh, they just now finished the market basket query. It took them, I don't know how many times longer to see that. So anyway, that's the market basket demo. Your business users will be much more effective with an Avalanche powered dashboard, pure and simple, and it'll be more cost effective to do so. Let's go back and check on our performance demo. Avalanche is halfway finished. Hopefully we'll, oh, actually that was just a dashboard refresh there. I have this Looker dashboard refreshing about every 5 seconds. Okay, so it took Avalanche 3 minutes and 50 seconds, and the other guys are still churning away. I don't even know if this is going to, I should have started this earlier for you because it's going to take this middle guy quite a while to finish. Pradeep, did we have any questions or anything that we want to,
I think it's worthwhile pointing out all the questions that are being asked are being answered by Pankaj on the chat. So just a reminder to do that. It's also important to notice on this slide that, on the demo rather, that we've only spent 51 cents to complete all the queries, and the other guys are already spending so much more.
Yeah, we don't have time to finish this, but you can extrapolate that this is going to be about 3 times this amount here. So it's not looking promising on the cost side for the guy in the middle. Anyway, let me go back to the PowerPoint, and I think Pradeep has a few closing thoughts here for us.
Sure. So as you've seen, Actian Avalanche is significantly faster than other database products out there. And the key reasons are really summarized on this slide. The first one is vectorized processing. As we do the build on the right-hand side of the slide, you'll see that a traditional data warehouse operates a row at a time, and it has to do a context switch between each one of those row-based operations. which is why it runs the speeds it does. And you compare that to the way Avalanche operates, it basically uses the vector instruction set that Intel created for their commodity processors. It's available in every 64-bit machine, and it allows Avalanche to run a single CPU instruction that is running on a single core of a system, and that system may consist of 64 cores, for example, and it's able to load up all the elements of a column across all the cores in the system, so all the registers are filled, and that could be like 100 or several hundred values, and they're all basically executed with a single machine instruction. So in one machine instruction, we're able to process hundreds of elements compared to a traditional data warehouse. So that's one of the reasons vector processing is so fast. Another thing Avalanche does is to optimize memory for on-chip processing rather than in regular RAM processing. So chips contain large amounts of L1, L2 cache, and that L1, L2 cache memory gets bigger with every generation of CPU launched. And because we maximize the use of that cache, that's another reason we're able to access the data elements faster than traditional in-memory databases that operate in RAM. The third thing worth mentioning is if your end users really need fresh data, the only way to really get fresh data is to be aware of updates to data as it comes in. And Actian has a patented capability called the partition delta tree, which basically allows us to process updates in just a couple of milliseconds longer than it takes to do a read. And then we're able to provide fresh data without compromising the performance of the reads and provide full read consistency for your end users. So these are three key reasons that make Avalanche stand out from the crowd. Just a summary of what you saw. You've seen the high performance that Avalanche delivers. It provides instant answers to complex queries, and in the demo you saw on the market basket analysis, it actually is able to deliver insights quicker than alternatives. So actually, your business users will get insights they wouldn't have time to get from other databases. And hopefully we've demonstrated that Avalanche does provide the lowest cost performance in the industry as well. For closing, just want to mention again that there is an opportunity to take advantage of the limited time promotion versus Snowflake. Just visit actian.com/avalanche to get the details. Also, you can try a free trial there. It's 30 days free, and we give you $500 credit to get you started. And any other general questions you have, you can always email us at asa@actian.com. Thank you, Mary, for presenting and demoing. And thank you, Pankaj, for handling the Q&A. With that, we'll say goodbye.